gentlemen, I'd like to welcome y'all out to the RemiX Morning Show. I am the Ear Doctor, and right now you have your host, Dr. Jared Wall. You got Kalani Jamachanga, you got Kamal Franklin, and you got Burn It Down Kim Brown. Let's go, y'all. Come on.
Tapping my shoulder, thinking you gon' get you some, smelling like some fragrance that I don't even wear. So if you want some love, I suggest you go back there where you came from.
Yeah. Back.
What up?
You all heard all that other stuff before, but you ain't heard the remix.
That's right.
Love that song.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome everybody.
Morning.
Black Power Media.
Happening RemiX Morning Show.
Morning.
Yeah, I'm giving y'all that Laurel shuffle. Y'all love it.
Okay. Shout out to Laurel.
We tried to have Black Man Magic yesterday. It didn't quite work out. So we're glad you're back.
Oh, yeah. What happened, fellas? What happened?
Y'all about to go to the Laurel.
They kept starting with us.
Nah.
Who did? Who kept starting? Let me smack them around. Come on, who started?
Kalanji. You know it was Kalanji who started mess. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, Brother Mustafa. Mufasa. Ooh.
Okay. About time to come with that next picture. Trying to tell y'all what it do.
I'm afraid of that picture, Kalanji. I am frightened for you.
You should very well be afraid, Kim. I'm afraid. I mean, I'm just talking about. You might hop on that Amtrak Laurel, Maryland station they got in the middle of town. I know about it. Yeah. I know where y'all at. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious about this business. You know, I just look like this. But anyway, yeah, Lightner Skinner and the crew. You know what I'm saying? They try to get at the guard yesterday, but it's all good though. You know what I mean? We held our own. You know. But welcome back though. We definitely need some sister energy up in here. It was testosterone was heavy yesterday.
Heavy.
Right? Even in the chat room. I'm like, damn, what's going on? You know what I mean? But definitely shout out to all the remixers out there, hold it down. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
welcome to Ray Fehring.
What up, Ray?
Yes, Ray.
Yes. Ray Fehring is a smart individual indeed for getting down with the Black Power Media crew.
And
you know what I mean?
What was she? Was that a bottle or a pistol in that picture? Anyway,
hey, listen,
either way, you can't go wrong with either one, right?
Either one.
And sometimes you need both.
Man, listen.
No.
Pistol in a bottle. That's all I need. You know what I mean?
A lot of tires shot out.
Hey, and a horse. You know what I mean? See me coming through. Not like Megan Stallion, but Black Stallion.
Speaking of which, we'll be talking about Megan Thee Stallion.
We definitely
She's gonna be in the news next segment for sure. Speaking of which, absolutely.
Yes.
She's found her way to the remix.
Tell them, Jared. This is not a critique about what Megan is wearing or
no
about PUSS. Wow. About PUSS. Wow.
No, this is the extracurriculars. This is a critique that this is where she's, I think, stepping over into some extracurriculars beyond that art that I think deserves the critique. This is not the same old, Megan she's too out there and she did the WAP song. No. This is, she stepped over that economic line. So
she in Jared's lane right now.
Jared's territory now.
Nobody's saying nothing about money.
She swerved that Bugatti into my lane and bumped into my Corolla.
She did wrong. I don't know. Y'all think we should get Megan on the show or what, man? I heard
everybody should come on the show.
Okay, absolutely. No doubt. Kamal got a face like he's not certain about that one or something.
No, I just want to see that one happen. I didn't know who was about to reach out, like who had the fan.
Hey, man, listen, this Black Power Media, man. We can do anything here.
We're everywhere.
About,
come on, we're limitless. Amtrak stations in Laurel. He can he can reach anybody.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
High key impressed by that, Kalanji. I'm high key impressed.
Yeah. That was impressive for sure.
Hey, look here, man. I've been moving around for years. I've been in the game for years. Made me an animal. It's rules to the shit.
Wrote me a manual.
Yeah. how to build a people's army. What's happening, y'all? What's good?
That's it. There it is.
Yeah, I like that, huh? Anyway,
so we have a great show lined up. We got some news. We got some. We're gonna go around the world a little bit. We got who knows what's going to happen by the end of the show. But we have a big show planned. We're very excited about that. Welcome to everybody for sure. Good morning, everybody out there in the chat. Black Magic, Melinda Graham, Sugar Booger, Deborah Rodriguez, Ricky Ryan, Anthony D, Roz Elbow. I mean, the whole crew. Minister Server's in the building. What's up, sir?
Oh man, Server's on time.
Server's in the building.
We can only get him the Renegade Culture on time.
And of course, shout out to Ear Doctor and Sister May in the back, making sure everything works properly and does what it needs to do. And so anyway, got some of that business out the way for sure. And Kalanji got interviews. What else we got? Ieli gonna be in the building. Dr. Ichile is gonna be in the building. I mean, we have a lot. The run sheet is full. It runneth over this morning. So we're looking forward. Yeah. So in addition to, we're going to talk a little bit about Megan Thee Stallion. We're going to talk a little bit about Corinne Gaines. Sister Kim is going to update us based on her update on her Burn It Down, her last episode of Burn It Down, Kim Brown. We're going to talk a little bit about One United Bank. And Bob Johnson wants reparations. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. And if we have time, we're going to still get to this Math Hoffa piece where the battle rappers are solving all the world's problems.
That's all right, man. You know what I'm saying? I think we should all go into battle rap, man. Just like, you know what I mean? Come out of retirement. We have Kim as the backup singer and whatnot. You know what I mean? Messing up all the lyrics straight out of Laurel. Now we do.
There are no backup singers in battle rap, Kalanji. We need to start with that.
I mean, it's Black Power Media. We can do it how we want to. You know what I mean? We do it how we want to. It's Black Power Media.
And while I just fully disagree with the gender separation in rap, it seems like battle rap has been changing that at least a little bit, where the queens of the ring have been battling the kings of the ring a little bit more. But I've never understood I just never understood that part, that separation. I don't understand why we do top 5 women MCs and top 5 men MCs. I've never understood that. But other than finding ways to categorize and just have an argument in the top 5. But
far fewer female MCs out here, Jared, to pick from also.
Now, there's some real dope ones out here. And I definitely we're gonna bring someone to show.
100 niggas rapping or 1,000 niggas rapping. It's not 1,000 chicks rapping.
I think the thing is, there is, but I think the fact that they're not part of my English selling ass, you know what I'm saying? They're not scantily clothed and they're actually saying something, you know, mainstream's not gonna pick up on it. But I know a ton of dope MCs who happen to be sisters who we definitely will be bringing through RemiX, Renegade, the whole 9, because of the fact that, you know, they out there for real. It's just,
I was actually stuck on that because I clearly we got to move beyond the industry. The industry is certainly going to select a certain type, but I am wondering, generally speaking, even outside of the industry, if to what extent there is a gender imbalance in rap. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, because when I look off the industry, there seems to be a lot. But then again, I'm not entirely sure. And even within, you know, like the battle rap scene, there are definitely more men, even if there is a strong women, component or scene. As I'm saying, they're starting to blend a little more, it seems like, which I think is again, I don't understand why there would not be, although I did find there was an interesting conversation where they talked about where this one sister Gaddis was talking about how sometimes there's an advantage some advantage, disadvantage in a battle, because men sometimes have a hard time going to certain places against women that they would go against men. Or they tend to over-sexualize the battle as opposed to doing what they do when it comes to men, which is all, I'm gonna gat you down and blow you up and kill your whole family and all that, with some skillful schemes and puns that I'm not demonstrating here. But anyway,
Goddess Crew is in the chat right now, giving us some gems. She said the reason you don't see as many chicks rapping versus dudes is because of patriarchy, and she also said that. She said, you know how much DICK she got offered when she was looking for beats? I mean, the patriarchy and sexual harassment can drive women out of a lot of fields. You know what I mean? Like I do not feel like dealing with all this men shit. No, thank you. Hard pass.
Shout out to Lateef Menz, by the way. We saw that, and that's a good point. And I would just also say, I know this for a fact too. A lot of women in academia suffer that same madness, and are for various reasons, I think, legitimate, of course, and but are not as vocal about it. But you are right, Kim. It's like everywhere. It's like, can I get a beat? Can I get an assistant, some help with this book? And all of the offerings seem to contain.
Would you like to pick with that?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Was Dick on the menu? Who asked for
right.
that?
I said beats, please.
I want to challenge the chat room. You know what I mean? To tag some of your favorite women MCs.
I was about to say, I thought, oh my God, what is he about to do?
Nah. I'm good today, man. I'm mild. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna turn up though. I promise you. Don't get it twisted.
You gonna stage dive into the chat?
Oh man, you see the head when the hair's hanging down, it's wild out time. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, anything can happen. But I definitely, because there's some dope sisters out there. Named Ruby Selah. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Cyrock and Star.
We had the best MC, male or female, on the program the other day. This is why I keep saying, who is out rhyming Maimouna Yusuf? You could say there are people as good as her. You don't have to say she's better than everybody, but nobody, man or woman, is out.
She was talking about what you was talking about. She's talking about what you was talking about as well in regards to the whole battling men, how she had to stop because of the fact that she didn't want, because they tend to go to the whole sexualization thing.
Right.
So
that's right.
She didn't want nobody to get stomped out. So you know what I mean?
That's right. I like that part too.
I do too. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, come on now. Just be creative. Like if and to me that is a mark of not a good MC. If you sort of default back to this cliche, I effed you, I'm gonna make you do this. It's like, come on, dog. Like you ain't really that quality of a rhymer if that's the best that you can always come back to when you're trying to battle a woman.
Here's a cliche for you, Kim. The ear doctor is dope as hell.
Of course.
So let me prove it to you. Here, that's the cliche, Kamal. I see your face, and I'm gonna prove it to you by bringing him up here right now.
Let's go.
There he is.
A lot of mercy.
Yeah, doctor. He ain't that dope. He can't turn off his mute button.
Wait a minute. Come on, I need you to fix your face, man. I don't like all that.
Oh shit.
Yo, you know what's dope though? Battle rapping. I used to actually throw a battle rap event called MC War, and it's really about crowd control. It's about saying certain things that get the crowd into it. It don't matter how lyrical you are. Sometimes it's about crowd control.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
Well, anyway, I got your weather, so let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Whether or not.
It's the weather report, yo, it's the weather report, whether you know it or not. It's the weather report. Yeah, what's up, everybody out there? This is the Remix Morning Show. I am the Ear Doctor, and this is Black Power Media. So right now, like I like to do, is I like to give you the weather report so y'all know how it is outside, even if you're not there. Check this out. So we're going to start in Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina, where you got a high today of 89 degrees. Next, we're going to take it over to Aspen, Colorado. Aspen. You know, I didn't hear about Aspen, Colorado until I watched the movie Dumb and Dumber, which was a very good movie to me. High today is 67 degrees. Now, let's go to Beulah, North Dakota. Yeah, that's a wild name for North Dakota. But the high today is 83 degrees. 83 degrees. Next, let's take it over across the world to Abuja, Nigeria, where you have a high today of 86 degrees. Next, let's take it over to London, England, bruv. And the high there is going to be 63 degrees. Next, let's take it down to a place where I got to go for my 40th birthday, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Now, High today there is 86 degrees. It's hot, but it's not hot. But let me tell you what's not hot. Man, I got to see something that I was like, not a good look. This right here, Dominican Republic, you had 24 women in the Atlanta airport in wheelchairs coming from Dominican Republic back to Atlanta after getting surgeries done. That is not hot. I'm just saying, love yourself. Please love yourself and stop going over there to get cheap plastic surgery and implants put in. That's all I got to say, because that's not hot. That's what it is right here at the Remix Morning Show. Let's get back to the crew. You know how we do. All right. Yeah.
Right on. I
You randomly mixed the phrase, that's not hot, to throw in a picture of folks at the airport getting plastic surgery.
That's not hot. It's not. Okay. It's not hot.
And that's part of the weather report.
They going. Okay. That's hot, but the Dominican Republic is hot, but that's not hot.
I got it. I saw the
level phrase.
Yeah.
I think this segment should be officially changed to whether or not, because some of this shit gonna be weather and some of it's not.
You're right. I'm glad you got it.
But I think you made a good point, and someone in the chat was saying their wife. I couldn't see the name fast enough, but they said their wife is in Nigeria now. So you were updating them on the web. See, I mean that's how we do. We got everybody covered.
I'm there.
Broke clock is right twice a day. That's cool.
Hey, I catch y'all next segment.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, so let's get into the news. Let's spin that globe and get into some of these stories this morning.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show and to the news segment. And we said we were going to, we as promised, we said we were going to talk about Megan Thee Stallion this morning. And as you see here, she has a hot girl investment. I'm not going to play the whole thing, play the audio, but it's an encouragement to invest, using Cash App investment for hotties, and is encouraging people to invest as low as $1, as little as $1, to begin to learn how to manage not only your investments, but to read the stock market, to ride the ups and downs. And she has, by the way, speaking of which, she has her own sexual innuendo and puns in there as well, as she promotes this, and is working with Cash App to do it. So as Kalonji, I think, mentioned, she has encouraged Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That's one of the areas that is being encouraged for investment here. And my only reason bring it up is because, again, as we'll talk more about in this segment, as I and others keep trying to do this work of exposing some of these economic mythologies, particularly as they're directed at Black communities, this is the kind of pop cultural media propaganda, really psychological warfare that we have to contend with. So it's not, again, personal about Megan. This is not. I almost never make it about an individual critique of an artist or anyone, really, just to point out the role that they are playing or being assigned to play in promoting the confusion, and that makes a lot of the work we're trying to do so difficult. So anyway, this has Jay-Z written all over it, Shawty. Like, doesn't this just smells like a Jay-Z brokered sort of partnership with Megan, who is signed to Rock Nation, and this whole issue, surrounding like financial literacy. Oh, if niggas just knew how to manage their money. No, if niggas had money, like, the management part is not the problem. It is the acquisition and lack thereof is the real issue.
I'm a little disappointed in Meg for this because I feel like she's targeting sort of like a vulnerable audience. Like her, I think Megan is like around 25, somewhere years old. So she's a younger millennial, older Gen Zer. And, I mean, this generation, not unlike Gen X before them, are dealing with incredibly difficult economic times. So everybody sort of wants to get that ladder to the American dream. Oh, well, if I just learn about investing, then I can invest myself in some wealth. But that's not exactly how it seems to work for our community. So I don't know, like this, I just feel like she's sort of manipulating a very impressionable audience. I mean, they're not ignorant that, young millennials and older Gen Z is very astute, but they just don't have a lot of experience in this area. And they are tempted to go towards trends and towards celebrity icons that they look up to. I don't know, I just disagree. Like this I don't like, and the fact that Megan is a host or a judge on a like a drag show, a transgender show, where there are no other transgender judges on this show, and I'm like, y'all don't even come from this community, how are you here? So this isn't really Megan Blaine. Her collegiate studies, I believe, was like health management or health administration or something like that, so not even like finance. So I don't know. I disagree. Thumbs down. I give a thumbs down to Megan Thee Stallion trying to push and Bitcoin on her fans.
Sure.
I think I think she's a tool. Part of it is, she's of that age, and someone is throwing, like you said, Jay-Z, Cash App, her management, the part of the rap game these days, 30, 40 some odd years in, is that these are spokespeople for corporations, right? Once they get a little coin rapping, then they're open to like the highest bidder, and they'll sell anything. They don't get there. You stand them in there and tell them, I just want you to say that this shit tastes good, and you're going to get $1 million, and to tell people to buy it. And they will literally stand there, sniff shit and say like, hey, you know what? If you eat this, it'll give you certain vitamins and minerals, and they'll walk off getting millions and millions of dollars. So they're and I think the larger community, I will use the word ignorant for a lot of folks. It is not necessarily meant to be a negative word for them. It's just like folks think that this is going to be, like you said, Kim, this is going to be their like lane for somehow getting resources, the desperation that capitalism puts forth to us around what it means to be successful. We want to look like, for those who do, look like Megan, act like Megan, walk like Megan, whatever it is. And then the male counterparts, and now even like gay male counterparts and female gay counterparts, right? Everybody's selling product to try to get us to get on board with the game. And as Jared said, until we come up with some alternatives that reach some certain sort of models, they're built out, that people can see, the strong fighters on, power is being built, our folks are left to sort of suffer at the hands of folks who are pushing things that's never going to do anything but keep our conditions the same, if not worse.
To add on to what you're saying, absolutely, she's a tool. Just like most Black folks or Africans on mainstream television, you know what I'm saying? They're there for a purpose. They're there for a reason. They're there for a cause, to promote something. You know what I mean? And that something usually has to do with, upholding white supremacy, even if it is, a movie about some slaves or whatever the case is. That video that I saw the commercial, the ad, and it's definitely problematic. Jared mentioned that she had her little sexual references and innuendos and all of that. One of the things she was talking about, just easing in nice and slow. You know what I'm saying?
She literally says that, and then she says that, and you know what I'm talking about, or you don't. Or, or
absolutely. And also, if you look at the visuals, you have the rims, the house keys, the watches, the sneakers. You know what I'm saying? So this is targeted to definitely a certain demographic. Even at the table, you have two white dudes at the head of the tables. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like this whole joint is absolutely trash. But again, that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of capitalism, is to sell you something. If you really listen to hip hop or quote unquote rap these days, you know what I'm saying? All it is a commercial with a beat. They're promoting something. You know what I mean? Damn near every rapper out there has some product that you're promoting. I was talking about the other day how back in the day, when we were listening to what's my man name for Brandon? Grand Pooba. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was responsible for bringing Jabos to the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Jabos on the back of Hill figure on the top.
Exactly. Hill figure Jabos. That was his joint. You know what I mean? And it's just like we're always used as tools. However, we never truly benefit from them tools. They give us some trinkets and all that type shit, and it's to help to promote, you know, this zombie mentality.
So when I'm going to come back in another story and talk a little bit more about some of the another version of this economic mythology being promoted to our detriment. But Kim, I know we were specifically, I had requested that you bring some of your update on the Corinne Gaines story to the remix, because what you do at Burn It Down is always great, but I was particularly interested on this particular story and your point about it being suppressed despite all that it reveals.
So Corinne Gaines, I'm pretty sure that everybody watching probably knows who she is, but let me remind you in case you don't. So it's almost been 5 years since Corinne Gaines was murdered by Baltimore County Police, August 1st, 2016. I believe she was only 23. She was a very young woman, gorgeous young lady, very vocal about her treatment that she had been receiving from both Baltimore County Police and Baltimore City Police regarding harassment. She would routinely go on social media and make posts, complaining justifiably about the way that police were engaging with her and also in her community. So on August 1st, Corinne had an arrest warrant out for her arrest surrounding like a traffic infraction, which red flag right there. Like the cops usually don't come to your house to arrest you for traffic infractions. So when Baltimore County Police arrived at her home, she let them know that she was not coming out. And when the police entered her home, she allegedly pointed a shotgun at them. She did not shoot them. She pointed a shotgun at them and told them to leave. And the cops obviously took that as a reason to kill her. And she was there with her 5-year-old son, Cody. Police did kill her. They injured her son. There was a clip that I found from an interview with Corinne's mother from theroot.com from last year, where her mother detailed how she and many other family members were on the scene. They wanted to speak with Corinne. Police discouraged them, refused to allow them contact with her. They took her mother's cell phone, started to contact Corinne, pretending to be her mother. Her mom didn't get her cell phone back for another couple days after that. So after Corinne was killed, and like I said, her son was also injured, there was a civil suit filed against Baltimore County in which a jury awarded Corinne's family, mainly her son, $38 million. The following year, a judge threw out that judgment, throughout that jury award. But then last year, July of 2020, that award was reinstated. So today at 9 a.m. at the Baltimore County Circuit Courthouse in Towson, Corinne's attorney and Al Sharpton is also going to be there along with other community leaders. They're trying to encourage people to be at the courthouse in Towson at 9 o'clock because Baltimore County has not paid a single cent of this judgment to Corinne's family, not a single cent. And on top of that, the officer who shot and killed Corinne, Royce Ruby, is still very much on the force, did not lose his job. In fact, received a promotion, is now a corporal for Baltimore County Police. So literally there has been no justice for Corinne. Like there's been no criminal charges against the cop that killed her. The cop still has his job and no judgment has been paid out to the family. So what happened with Corinne really is such a series of, like, I call it cascading failures, right? Because first, if you go into Corinne's story, Corinne was a victim of lead poisoning as a child living in Baltimore. So that's one failure against the system. And then for her to be a Black woman and be the victim of this state violence, this police terror, and for people to not even fully know her name. Like, and that's another issue I think that we have sort of within our movement is when a brother is killed, we know their name ring out across the country for months and months and months. But these sisters who get killed, the Natasha McKennas, the Miriam Careys, we know Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, thankfully her name rang out last year, but Corinne Gaines is a name that you absolutely need to know. You need to know there has been no justice for her family. And really, we need to understand and sort of reframe what justice even looks like, right? Like we look at what happened with George Floyd. His family received the largest settlement, I believe, ever paid out by the city of Minneapolis, and his killer is in jail. But that is not typical. That is not what usually happens to Black victims of police violence. Usually nothing happens, right? Like usually there's no charges pending. There's no judgment coming forth for the family, no settlement of any kind. So I just want everybody to just keep Corinne and her family very much present in your mind today. If you are in the Baltimore County area, if you are able to show up at the county courthouse in Towson, try to do so, and just keep all that in mind about Corinne Gaines today.
Well, in addition to her being a woman, I can think of at least two other reasons why people would not be on board with popularizing her case. One, she was dismissed, as I think you pointed out, as having mental health issues.
That's right.
She was, and then I think more importantly, to particularly to the bourgeoisie and the liberals in the movement, she was accused of having pointed a shotgun, first having a shotgun and then pointing one at the police. So I could see very easily why many would be like, well, I don't want to be involved, can't support that. And,
it's like Black women don't have a right to defend ourselves. Like we even have to justify to our men sometimes, why we are defending ourselves. And thank you, Jared, for pointing that out, because it does go to the larger problem, the extension of, Black people do not have constitutional rights generally, right? So our Second Amendment right to bear arms, even though Corinne was fully within her rights to do that, to possess that shotgun. Actually, in the state of Maryland, it is very difficult to legally own a handgun. Shotgun, rifle is your best option if you want to be armed. So she was fully within her right to do that. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you making some good points.
No, that was it. I that was all I had. And to your point, you can go in and in 30 minutes get your background check, and walk out with any size rifle, shotgun in Maryland. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Kalanja.
No. I want to add to that. I often hear about Corinne's case, but one case that I don't hear mentioned rarely is a case we worked around in 2008, the case of Tarika Wilson. She was a 26-year-old in Lima, Ohio. She was shot by police, and her 1-year-old son had his finger blown off. You know what I mean? So she was shot and killed in her home when police issued a raid of the house to go at her boyfriend. They killed the 2 dogs, and the police were the only ones firing. But as soon as the cop that killed her, Joseph Cavella or some shit, soon as he heard gunfire, he shot blindly into the bedroom where Corinne and the children were hiding, and killed her. And like I said, shot her baby's finger off.
Not Corinne. What was her name?
Tarika Wilson.
Tarika
Wilson. I'm sorry. But this was in Lima, Ohio back in 2008. She was a 26-year-old. So I rarely hear her name mentioned when we talk about names. I rarely hear Katherine Johnson, the 92-year-old who was shot down here in Atlanta. A case, one of our biggest cases that we worked on here as far as our organization. One of the members of FTP was actually her mailman. So I got the phone call damn near as soon as it happened. And he was like, look, they're out here talking about she had drugs and all this type shit. Right. They raided the wrong home, went in there, shot her down. You know what I mean? And then decided that they would plant drugs in the basement, plant weed in the basement, handcuff her while she's dead. She never had a traffic ticket, no health problems or anything. You live to 92 years old, and these motherfuckers gun you down in your own home. You're in your house minding your business. Then they try to get an informant. So there's so many different cases. And indeed, oftentimes when it comes to women, they're not mentioned. In fact, I would even dare say when it comes to men, they're not mentioned, because we hear about very few cases. There are over 1,000 cases of police murders and deaths in custody a year, and we might hear about 4 or 5 tops. You know what I'm saying?
But
so,
usually those 4 or 5 are usually men, though. Wouldn't you say, Kalonji?
Indeed,
Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, I unite around it, but I'm just saying it's it's terrible all the way across. You know what I mean? Because my point is, it's a family member. So I definitely side with it's patriarchy. It's we fail to support anyone that doesn't look like us, the whole nine. You know what I mean? But some of us who are about liberation, we're fighting on all fronts. You know what I'm saying? Home and abroad. So my task is to say to the organizers out there, whether you organizing for the environment or animal rights or whatever, we all against this one fucking system. It's the capitalist system, and in order for us to crash it, it has to be a show of force and a united front. Period. Regardless of whatever you believe about your politics.
Mm-hmm.
And again, shout out to Kamal, who continues to demonstrate how BPM is for the kids. BPM and Woo are for the children.
I just wanted to briefly say also, and I think the major point that is also made is that our so-called political leaders continually help the state by suggesting that victims have to be prone, right? Victims have to have their hands up. Even our movements adopt slogans sometimes that go, don't shoot, hands up, which basically is suggesting that the only worthy folks that we need to support or celebrate are people who didn't challenge the police, or people who died in circumstances where they were obviously or overtly victimized. And these, like, when I mean by obviously and overtly victimized, is that they have clean records. They've never done anything wrong. They've never been arrested before. They didn't speak back to the police. It's almost like a Jim Crow era of suggesting that if you step off the sidewalk when white folks are walking, then you're good and you're proper, you know how to behave, and therefore your life is valuable. But if you challenge the state or you challenge the apparatus in some way, then you are somehow not worthy of larger support from our community. And I think that's one of the things that happens with these type of cases. I think only you have people like Al Sharpton stepping up on this particular case because the jury decided probably after the fact to give those resources, and he might have his hand out, so to be honest. But normally you don't have that when you have cases like involve somebody potentially either defending themselves or a circumstance which may have been difficult, right? And the police could have used other methods to try to get somebody out of the house as opposed to shooting first. They're supposed to be trained in either talking people out or waiting them out. There's several different methods that have been usable, and my assumption is that the jury saw that the police acted by shooting first with a 5-year-old in there, and that's partly why they decided to give the award. But yet the state apparatus, the full state apparatus, is saying that we don't want to set any precedent, so we're not going to give you any money, or we're going to appeal until we get this down to something that we are willing to pay. So I think all those factors are coming into play, in addition to, of course, the sexism that's rooted in how most things happen in this society in terms of gender issues or sex issues. But we have to look at too the sort of victimless or this proper victim. And the lawyers do it all the time in lawsuits, right? It's class action lawsuits. We're always picking out the person who supposedly represents the cleanest image, right? And that's continually what takes place and what happens, and we sell ourselves short by again suggesting that our humanity is only as good as the sort of innocence that we prevail for white folks.
All right, so since
there come out.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What was that?
No,
Kim?
I mean, just extremely well put. And let me just add something real quick, specific to this region. But we're talking about Corinne's case was in Baltimore County. Baltimore City has a very bad habit of being sued. When I say Baltimore City, and I mean Baltimore City Police, has a very bad habit of being sued for police misconduct, having judgments awarded against them, and then refusing to pay. And I think that what Baltimore County is doing is following suit in what Baltimore City is doing, and just shrugging their shoulders and like, you know what, we're not paying this shit. And it's infuriating because it's like, what remedy do Black folks have in this country? And I know the answer is none, but I mean, like all this playing in our face. Oh, well, you got to use the system. You got to follow the system the right way. And if there's no criminal charges forthcoming, then file a civil suit. Well, if the county doesn't want to pay a civil suit, then what? You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I'm sorry.
So here's the then what.
Just thinking about it.
Here's the then what. And since production is telling us to get to the next story, this is perfect because the then what, Kim, is being promoted and presented by, as we talked a little bit about already, the Megan Thee Stallions and her sponsors, but also another powerful set of sponsors as well. So I mentioned it the other day. I had signed up for the One United Bank Symposium on closing the racial wealth gap, how to fix it. One United Bank, of course, is the largest Black-owned bank in the country, and they hosted this. You had to sign up for it, and if you weren't there live and signed up late, as I did, you had to wait for the release of the video that came out yesterday for those of us who signed up to see it belatedly. As you see here, it's not on YouTube. It's housed very carefully on One United's website, and there's a very good reason. I'll probably come back to this and on I Mix What I Like maybe Friday for more. But for the sake of the remix today, I just want to play a little clip here. Now on the left is Karen Hunter, popular radio host, and on the right is Marissa Baradaran, author of several books, including the one I talk about all the time, The Color of Money. Folks may remember she's been a guest on my platform a number of times. I referenced her a lot in my Buying Power book, and that's sort of the point here. So I was sort of joking, why wasn't I, involved in this? And I don't mean to over emphasize or suggest my own importance here, but I did enjoy this little part of this exchange because I've been on Karen Hunter's show. Baradaran knows me at least fairly well. They know of my argument. And I just thought it was very funny because to the point I'm getting at in this segue, at least from what Kim was just asking or suggesting, their argument, they go through and spend most of this time in this discussion outlining very accurately how many problems are facing Black people. Economically, socially, politically, etc. They even talk about in the video the necessity for there to be a public policy. They even acknowledge that saving money as a mechanism towards closing the racial wealth divide is impossible because Black people don't earn enough money to save. They even talk about the need, the fact that Black-owned banks don't have nearly the capital that even a few of the largest white-owned banks have. They say all of this, and then of course start to suggest that Biden and the Democratic Party have solutions that they're coming with. They're acknowledging that things are changing, that there's all of this. And then they come to what is obviously the point here, which is that they want more Black people to put their money in One United Bank, to increase the capitalization of this bank with the promise that it will then be able to turn around and help Black people. So, which is itself a wild contradiction. And then they come to this little part here, and I just can't help but notice what I think is very obvious in Karen Hunter's attempt here to avoid saying what she knows she shouldn't say. But just check this out and see if I maybe should have saved this for an Am I Tripping segment. But here, look at it.
Turn it back down, brother.
The sound's down?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I thought I had set the sound up to play. Hold on a second. All right, hold on. Here we go. I'll just stop. Share audio.
We have seen collectively
now you hear that, right?
When Black folk in particular who spend more money for less services, we spend more money in every sector and we consume more media. When we decide we're not going to spend money, corporations capitulate really quickly. Coca-Cola and all these others, I don't want to name, I shouldn't do that. But every company that has had Black people say, we're not spending with you, have come to the table to do something different. So that means that we have power when we use it things will change. So I think we also need to be mindful of how we spend our money. Everybody watching right now, open an account at One United. Be intentional about that, you know, not just because you're on this, but if you are fed at all.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there for now.
That's a commercial, dog. Do I get a toaster if I go open an
absolutely. And the thing is, and then I just want to show this one other thing very quickly, because the thing is that and this is from my book where I in the chapter about banks where I refer to Baradaran's book quite often, and she just says right here, as I say here in her recent book, The Color of Money. Black banks and the racial wealth gap. Marisa Baradaran details the many ways in which, by the way, boom, ding, drink, banking cannot solve economic disparities. In fact, as she points out, Black banking has been an anemic response to racial inequality that has yielded virtually nothing in closing the wealth gap, end quote. So I admit I'm having a little bit of fun and maybe rushing too quickly through it in this quick segment here, but to point out that Baradaran has already acknowledged that Black banking cannot help the problem. Her whole book details this. And I have detailed the smaller segment about how spending power is not a political or economic strength at all and emanates from the very Nielsen reports that Karen Hunter is indirectly reporting when she's responding to when she's talking about how much Black people spend in media, et cetera, and so forth, and then suggests that we have some sort of economic power that if we take it away from white banks, which is ultimately the point to put it in a Black bank, we would be exercising and anyway, so I say all that to say, among other things, that this is another reason why we have so little by way of solution and so little by way of an understanding financially, economically, politically, or otherwise as to what the situation is or what to do about it, because we get so much of this kind of just anyway. Go ahead.
I have questions. So is the premise that Karen Hunter and the other guests are saying that we should not enrich white bankers, we should enrich Black bankers? Is that
yeah,
what I'm understanding?
I mean, okay. and I know Baradaran's not making that point. That's why I'm seeing the stress in her face. I'm seeing the stress in Karen Hunter trying to make this statement. They know better. I know Baradaran knows better. Her entire book is explaining that she knows better. But in this moment, I can't explain anyway. But yes, that is the point. Yeah.
So they're the counterparts of Megan Thee Stallion, basically. Because the only difference is they're not selling the sexual side of it. They're just saying, look, we're saying the same trash and we want you to support this on a broader scale. We don't just want one particular part of the Black community. We want the entire Black community to say, let's get behind this this white-owned institution in blackface. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue to build capitalism. So the thing is, the next time you have, what's her name, Barada? How you pronounce it?
Marisa Baradaran.
Right. Next time you have her on the show, we have to deal with her just like we dealt with Cornell. Okay.
Well,
what side of the fence you on?
Well, there's a number of key differences. One, she has not presented herself as the Black leader, Black spokesperson for decades. She's very careful to recognize her place as a Persian, American. She's very clear on all of that. I will say, and the last time I invited her back to the program, she said she couldn't because she had joined the Biden economic transition team. So to your point, Kalanji, everybody has sponsors, whether it's Megan and Cash App and Rock Nation, whether it's Karen and Marisa with One United or the Democratic Party. They are being sponsored to take these positions. So honestly, I didn't even reach out to Marisa to say, what were you doing? Because I look, she's positioned herself differently in all this, and I'm not going to.
Which is why you're not invited.
And that's why I'm not invited. And that's why we're here at Black Power Media.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about the sponsorship, and you got to follow the cash. And I'm sure, for that kind of commercial, even if she kept her lips tight for that particular segment, she sat there for the whole thing, and she knew what it was all about. Just like Karen Hunter knew what it was all about. It's a promo for one bank. It's a promo for Black capitalism. It's a promo for depositing your money into some institution that's going to tell you by doing so you're going to get rich in some way or be wealthy or better off, when realistically speaking, that's never going to happen if you deposit your money in that institution. Say your interest on savings, just like your investment in Bitcoin, just like your Cash App investment, is never going to be enough to give you the wealth that white people have effectively stole and institutionalized. Right? So the power is not in these individual efforts to join the institutions, even the Black institutions, some of them, which may quote unquote mean well, but still in the end of the day are really about their individual perseverance and striving, right? So it's still that gamesmanship that these folks are playing, and and Megan reaches a certain demographic, and these folks as intellectuals, academics, they reach another demographic, right? And all those demographics are sold on I don't care if you are poor, working class, middle class, outwardly mobile, we're all awash in a capitalist ethic of, I can make more money by doing ABC. And that's the primary thing I should be focused on. My individual wealth, my family individual wealth is my primary focus. And if that means doing these things, which won't pay off in the end, because this is what I've been taught in school, this is what I see on commercials, this is what I get from my music, I'm awash in it, then that's what they're going to do. And that's what these other folks are paid to promote. So that's what we're battling. And of course, you're not going to be on there. I mean, obviously, that too. Like, you're not you.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't expect the invitation, and I don't even expect that Maris or anyone else would want to have a private conversation or a public one about why they were there. I'm not even looking for any. It is what it is. But we will make use of it. We will make our own analysis of it, which is always my point about whatever anybody else is doing. So yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I feel like I'm in class because I need some explanation on some things. Like, is this like an outdated argument that they are making? And I'm trying to ask this, meaning that was there a different point in history where this argument was actually valid, when there was more Black land ownership and home ownership, and people, were working good factory jobs, etc., and shit was more segregated, where there was, you could only bank at the Black bank and patronize Black businesses in your segregated red line neighborhood? Like, was there a case for this argument that they're making in 2021, maybe 70 years ago, and maybe that this is just an outdated argument? Am I making sense?
You're making perfect sense. And because we only have 1 minute, I'll say this, and then we'll maybe come back to it another time. And people can obviously go and check all of the other conversations we've been having around this for a long time. But as Marisa Baradaran points out in her book, you can segregate people, but you cannot segregate money. So, and her point was that one of the reasons why these mythologies have survived so long is because at the time of the highest levels of segregation of Black people, it made it possible for there to be this mythology developed that Black people had this autonomy, had this potential, had this ability to circulate dollars and do all these other things that are part of this mythology about Black capitalism, but cannot do it. It was never going to work. It wouldn't have worked. And when I asked Baradaran directly, has there ever been a time where Black people, if they had pooled all of their wealth, could have turned the tide on this situation? And her answer was simply no. So she's in that interview, she's literally having to walk her entire book's worth, 10 years worth of her research backwards to try to shoehorn a version of her analysis into something that says Black banks, which she has written for 10 years about, will not help. Can in this one sense, in this one instance of one united bank, be helpful to an entire Black community? It's as they say, intellectual pretzeling that she has had to do, that I other than what we could all speculate is the reasons why, I don't know how it could be done. So there's much more to be said, and I know we're over here, so we'll bring up the ear doctor, but yeah. But Kim, you're not wrong in raising that question, but that mythology is just strong and old. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Accountability one day. Come ear doctor.
Yo.
Come ear doctor.
Now is a part of the show where we do the interactive, let me give you a sample part. So yes, everybody stay tuned. Put your thinking cap on.
I'm with Kim on that. Yes.
I'm so excited. I love this.
Remix.
What's good, everybody? I'm the Ear Doctor. This is Black Power Media, and this is the Remix Morning Show. And this segment right here is brought to you by Black Power Media. We need some sponsors, y'all. Stop playing. Anyway, make sure y'all tell a friend it's on again every Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And also make sure you become a member, like, subscribe, go to patreon.com, look for Black Power Media, drop some change in there. And listen, this movement is going to keep going up, 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 and up. That's what we're working on. So please be a part of the foundation. With that said, let's get to our musical interactive part of the show. All right. So as you know, and if in case this is your first time watching, this is Let Me Give You a Sample. Here's when I take a song, original song, play it, and ask the chat room to let me know what song was sampled. So, what was the new song they sampled from? So, let's start it off like this. Now, I'm gonna take you back to 1969. We going back, y'all. Big up to my sister. She was born in 1969. Let's start it off with this right here. Let's go with Dusty Springfield, Son of a Preacher Man.
Billy Ray was a preacher's son, and when his daddy would visit, he'd come along. When they gathered around and started talking, Cousin Billy would take me walking. Out through the backyard we go walking. Then he looked into my eyes. Lord knows to my surprise, the only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. The only boy who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. Yes, he was.
Yeah. Now, let's take it. I see we already got some answers in the chat room. I was hoping it wouldn't be one of our own hosts, but you know. Anyway, let's play the song that redid it.
It's from the ball. It's from the ball.
It's from the Ball, Cypress Hill, 1993.
It's from the ball. Pick it, pack it, fire it up, come along and take a hit from the ball. Put the blunt down just for a second. Don't get me wrong, it's not a new method.
All right, hit all night long.
Just got a ounce in the mail.
Oh yeah, that's the joint right there. I used to rock that album right there like crazy. But that right there, as you can see, one of our first people to know what that is no other than Dr. Jared Ball with his revolutionary spelling of Cypress Hill. Yes, thank you. Now, let's get back to the morning show, and let's do it like this, y'all.
Billy Ray was a preacher's son, and when his daddy was
You can't pronounce, I can't spell. We're a perfect team.
Hey, that's revolutionary, baby. Let's get
But
it.
you can't play my anthems and me not being able to guess the joint now. I mean, that's
Listen, will you let the chat room get a chance? Peace up to Al Unique. He was the second one to come through and know that it was Cypress Hill.
the remix is a gangster. I'm not giving him no space. If I got an answer, I'm trying to win. I'm trying to win.
Are we doing it like that now? That's how we do it. We get a prize or what?
You know what I'm saying?
Big up to Be Real and DJ Muggs and the whole Cypress Hill. What's up, LA? Yeah.
Dog. Yeah. That's the whole
dog.
thing.
Yep.
Word.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is. I'll catch y'all next break.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Ear Doctor. That was good.
Right on.
That was dope and whatnot. I needed that hits from the bong, man. That's the necessary thing right now. So right about now, we have a guest coming up. I don't know why I invited him. But
oh wow,
brother right here, he's an organizer. He's been organizing for over 14 years in dealing with education and justice. Right now, he's working and been working around police brutality, police terrorism, police accountability, political prisoner work, so on and so forth. He's from the great state of Connecticut that we all know and love. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I met him through Kamal. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he don't get too much credit for that. But coming to the joint, you know what I'm saying? My man Hiram Rivera is going to be joining in about 2 seconds. Calm down, selector. We'll be right back with you.
The remix.
Hiram, what's good, man?
What's going on, brother? Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to see you in the building today. You know what I mean?
Good to see you.
Okay.
Great state of Connecticut. Great state of Connecticut's in the building.
That's right. Say it one more time, man, for folks that
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I'm gonna leave this alone. I know you don't usually do this, but that's my man right there. I don't understand how you're gonna respond to his request without me knowing first.
Hey, man, we from Connecticut. Tell that man he don't know what time it is. Anyway, for folks who are unaware, you know what I'm saying, because of the fact that oftentimes we talk about Connecticut, a lot of people think that we're talking about somewhere from, you know, some milk farm or some affluent area, whatever. Give the people a brief description of what life is growing up in the Connecticut area, where we come from.
Connecticut, for the most part, is what you think it is, right? It is a suburb of both New York and Boston. The trees, the water, looks like a nautical commercial. But Connecticut is basically haves and have-nots. There's not a lot of in between. And so those of us who have not definitely do not have, right? And so a lot of us, when I say us, I'm talking about Black and Latino folks live or concentrated in the main 3 cities, New Haven, Hartford, Bridgeport. And it's just struggling, right? And so in a city that's known for its affluence, a city that's known for its personal wealth, individual wealth, those who do not have definitely don't have. And so you have all of the ills that all the other major cities and small cities in America have. A lot of violence, lack of opportunity. Most of us, right, like you and I, have to move away from home in order to be able to become and have the lives that we want to live and raise our families, because it's just not possible back where we're from. Of course, unless you're tied to the evil empire that is Yale University, and none of us don't want no parts of that demonic institution. So here we are.
Sure, indeed. You know, I know you've done a lot of work around juvenile education and justice. You know, I want to talk a little bit about that, because I think that when we talk about, you know, folks always talk about the school to prison pipeline. They talk about, you know, like you said, lack of opportunity, so on and so forth. What have you, you know, in your work, in those 14 years in particular, working with that particular organization, what have you found as being the connection between this whole school and prison pipeline situation? You know, give us some examples, just, you know, from your experience.
Yeah, I mean, we first started talking about school to prison pipeline back in 2003, 2004. I think is when it was coined. I was working, and I'm not saying we as I invented, I'm just saying the field in general. Right, youth organizing. And when I'm talking about youth, I'm talking about high school age students, 14 to 19 years old, right? Youth means something very different in these days. But when we're talking about high school age students, right, the movement and youth organizing started out in the Bay around gang injunctions, right, and around police and schools. So the issue of police and schools has always been the issue. And what you have with the school to prison pipeline is basically the way that schools use their disciplinary systems, right? Suspensions, in-school suspensions, all of that thing, and how that is tied to the prison system. And so what that means is that what we have seen is no longer are school administrators primarily responsible for handling school discipline. Before, when you and I were younger, you get in trouble, you get sent to the principal or the assistant principal or something, you get suspension, detention, or whatever. Because of a multitude of reasons, one being the proliferation and the increasing of police budgets everywhere, especially police budgets inside of schools. particularly post Columbine, right? And these kind of like big news catching school shooting events that happen in the suburbs, not in the cities, but happen in the suburbs, right? It's the cities that end up getting flooded with metal detectors, the city schools that end up flooded with police officers. And what happens is that then these police officers and these school safety agents, and whatever name they get, school resource officers, depending on what city and state you're in, they give them different names, right? They then become the ones who are primarily responsible for dealing with discipline issues inside of the building. The problem is that, like most cops, they're only trained to deal with prospective criminals or crimes, right? They're not there to deal in the nuance of teenager interactions or a student acting out because of whatever issue, right? For a multitude of reasons. So back when teachers should be able to do it, now teachers have gotten lazy, principals have gotten lazy, and they just call the school resource officer to come in. That officer's only job there is to remove that student, cuff him, and escalate, like police do out in the streets. School police then escalate tensions, escalate problems that ultimately lead to students getting arrested, right? They call on the regular police, they send them down. And once that student is tracked and once that student is put in the pipeline that is the criminal justice system, it's very hard to pull them out, right? And so that's when they're removed from school. That's when they're sent to alternative institutions. That's when some of them are sent to juvenile institutions. Most of the young people who are in juvenile incarceration are in there because of school issues, truancy stuff, or fighting, right? It's not like they out here mugging and killing everybody. The overwhelming majority of our young people who are locked behind the walls are in there because of school-related issues that could have been dealt with the administrator, that could have been dealt with a parent, that could have been dealt with the teacher, but folks have just bypassed all that and instead have passed it off to the police.
Now, you know, you mentioned the alternative side, alternative education. I taught at an alternative high school out in Willimantic. And of course, Willimantic is like a dope capital out there. You know, it's the population is a majority Puerto Rican population with a few blacks, right? So I'm teaching out there. And one of the things that that I noticed was just as far as making your point, you had, you know, of course you had these teen mothers, of course you had the teen fathers, of course you had, you know, all the shit that goes on with an inner city situation. Many of the children were, it's like a rehab town. So many of the children there were, you know, they were born addicted, you know. So it was all types of craziness. But one of the things I noticed when they couldn't control the children, they would prescribe Ritalin. And of course, Ritalin, you know, when you're in school, you have Ritalin, and then when you get to prison, it's Thorazine. But it's the same shit because both of them slow you down. You see the kid that's wilding early in the day, they hit him with that Ritalin, he slowed down. You in prison, you see the cat that's out of control, you know what I mean? Early in the day, 2 days later, you see him walking down, you know, through the tears like a zombie. Right. There was kids in 11th grade, children in 11th grade that couldn't read. I was teaching children how to read through using Iceberg Slim and Donald Goins books. Then from there, I put them on the spook set by the door, taught them about the Panther Party, so on and so forth, and went from there. With you, what are some of the tools you utilize working with the youth? Because of the fact that we know that, like you said, coming from an inner city, impoverished inner city, right? You know what I mean? You have to be creative.
Right. I think it's like the tools that you use, the same ones you use for adults and basic organizing, right? Meet people where they at, right? You meet folks where they at. You don't speak above their heads. You make it plain, like Malcolm said, right? Don't hide the truth from the people, right? Same thing with young people. Just because they're young, just because they may have been deemed, you know, underdeveloped or at risk or whatever these labels these folks put on them, right? Does not mean that they cannot comprehend complex situations. It doesn't mean that they don't have a worldview and understanding of what's happening, at least a basic understanding of what's happening, right? And an opinion about what's happening and what needs to be done. And so what we used to do in the organizations I was a part of, right, youth organizing organizations, which, to be very clear, nonprofit organizations are extremely problematic. Nonprofit organizations, yes, historically have been created to undermine movement, undermine revolutionary work in our communities. That is absolutely 100% true. The other fact is that these youth organizations, these nonprofits that do youth organizing, unfortunately end up being the only spaces where our young people have access to this type of information, or space where they can engage in what people consider adult conversations, right? Or what people consider intellectual or political work, right? And so not all nonprofits are built the same. And I say that because there's a cohort across the nation of strong youth organizing organizations who are taking these very populations, working with these young people, teaching them organizing and winning policy changes, teaching them revolutionary politics, teaching them all that, because a lot of our mainstream organizations, or even what we consider youth organizations, right, which today it would be like youth is considered some 28-year-old with a passport and a lease, right? They don't deal with high school age young people, right? So we're talking, some of the major organizations, be they the BYP 100s, the Dream Defenders, those like college age young people, is very different from high school age folks, and there's not much interaction between those two groups. So what do we use? The same thing. We use everybody. Rap music, right? The music that they're listening to. Let's break that down. Let's walk through those stories. Let's walk that back. We use YouTube videos. We use sometimes text. It may not be the whole book, but it may be a couple paragraphs, right? Couple of articles, because we use that to help them read out loud, right? Get comfortable in reading, teach them reading, right? Not teach them, but encourage them to read more. Their own personal stories, their own personal narratives, right? And put that in the context, connected with each other, globally, internationally, all of those things, right? They're dancing, right? Their theater that they use, anything and everything that they feel connected to, we meet them where they're at, right? We don't pass judgment. I grew up in the 90s. I think rap music between 1991 and 1995 is the only rap music anybody should listen to. But I'm not going to say that to the young people, right? So if they want to listen to Baby, they want to listen to Yachty and all them, then that's what we're listening to, right? And that's what we're going to be working with, right? And so you meet folks where they're at. You introduce historical texts and these meaningful texts. You do it in a way that's digestible to them, not over their heads. And remembering that our goal is basically to turn on the light bulb. Right? I am not their father. I am not their guardian, right? Also, they are not mine to try and indoctrinate into brainwashing anyway, or turn them into little junior Black Panthers, because I have my own revolutionary fantasies. And a lot of times adults tend to do that and impose our own, BLA wannabe fantasies onto these young people, right? What my job is to set that light bulb off, is to plant those seeds and put them on a path to continue searching for knowledge, keep growing beyond me, right? So eventually grow into those organizing, those revolutionaries, whatever that may look like in the future. Okay,
we know that in good answers. That's why I brought you on here. We know that some of the work you're doing right now is around police accountability. You know what I'm saying? Tell us a little something about that, because of the fact I know that you've grit your teeth in working with a lot of OGs. Shout out to Muhammad Ahmed, Max Stanford, one of the OGs that you working with out in Philly. Right. You know what I mean? And definitely give them salutes and salams. What are some of the things you all are doing right now in regards to the whole accountability situation?
Right. So my 9-to-5 job is I work for a national organization providing research and technical assistance to organizations nationally working on police accountability campaigns, police transformation, police abolition campaigns, right? Like I said, there's like a number of different ways depending on what the conditions of the campaign are in the city and the state that you're living in. One thing I do want to elevate is that now that police abolition, police work has been popular in the last few years since Ferguson, I want to again give a shout out to the young people, right, who have been doing this work way before this became the hot thing, right? No shade to the folks who are doing this work, but I want to make sure that we do not erase the over 2 decades of work that high school students have been doing since the 90s, combating the police in and out of their school building, right? First ones, when I first heard of restorative justice, that was back in 2009, right? In these youth organizing spaces, and you hear it, it's kind of like the thing now, and it gets mixed with a lot of she woo stuff, right? And folks don't really know what they're talking about. But I first heard it in 2009 in youth organizing spaces, right? When we were talking about cops out of schools campaigns go all the way back to, like, again, pre-2010 years, right? And young people envisioning what not only their school could look like without police, but then what their communities could look like police. The problem is that if you do not have a child in school or a child at all, then most people just kind of like bypass school issues altogether. And what we understand is that the school is the central, and it used to be the central piece of a community, right? Schools are where all of the community's issues interact. If you have housing, food injustice, Medicare, or it's going to show up inside of those school buildings. The problem is that because nobody's watching and nobody is really paying attention to education because they feel it deals with kids, is that teaching, right? And the people inside those buildings also becomes a very racialized and gendered thing, right? Overwhelmingly, most of the teachers in the country are white women, right? Most of those white women are Karens who are coming with their own worldview, their own perceptions of what our young people are, what their parents, who their parents are, what the communities they come from are like, right? And then are basically passing that worldview on to our own young people of how they should look at themselves, right? It behooves us as a community, as a people, for everyone to really get involved inside of these campaigns around saving our public schools, right? Because they're privatizing, they're shutting them down to foster gentrification. Because if there's no school where Black families can send their children, Black families are going to have to move out and move away. We see it here in Philadelphia when they closed 24 in 2013. We saw it in Chicago when they closed another. I think it was like 20 something over there in
56,
right.
56.
Right, all over the country. It's a part of gentrification. And that's where the police also come in, right? And so when we're talking about police abolition and the police work that's happening out in the streets, don't forget what's happening inside of our schools. Because for real, the first fights, hardcore organized campaigns around ending police presence in our business happen inside school with teenagers. And most teenagers, right, most of the young people who belong to these organizations, part of these campaigns, are not the ones who are tracked to go off to these fancy universities and will become PhDs and write wonderful books and all that, right? These are everyday young people who, once they graduate high school, are going to end up in retail jobs, having families, still living in the hood, and we're going to forget about them. So it's my job, right, to not forget them. The Alliance for Education Justice, for those who are interested in the National Coalition of Youth Organizations fighting this fight. Shout out to the young people in LA who defunded the school police department by $25 million. Shout out to the other school districts and the young people who won their defund fights, right? Young people are kicking ass all over the place, and I just ask that all of us support them as much as we can.
No doubt, man. Of course, we knew that we couldn't cover too much in the little bit of time that we had, but I'm gonna definitely bring you back on, man. Appreciate you for stopping through on a short notice tip. You know what I mean? How can folks get at you, man?
I'm not on social media like that, but if you want to know, Hiram, Hiram, Philly @gmail.com. Holla at me or get in touch with one of these two brothers here, and we'll be in contact, man.
They should contact me directly. I'm like his manager. I'm his manager right now. I'm getting him all the good gigs. You know what I'm saying? All the good gigs.
So I know I gotta go. How can I get on the little introductory? Who do I send my headshot to so I can be in the introductory there? You know, I'm a Patreon supporter. I feel like I should.
You should have that. I got you, man.
Send it to me. We're gonna get back to you on that.
You get me because you're gonna put Bad Bunny or something in the background thinking you.
I'm gonna definitely do that.
Puerto Rican stuff.
Hey, salute, Conrad. We'll catch you in a minute, man. Peace. RemiX Morning Show.
Yo,
what up?
Amazing that you were able to pull that off, and that two Connecticut cats could rock and hold a sustainable conversation.
Oh shit!
I know,
man.
It's amazing,
hey, man.
Angela Davis.
It's Angela Davis.
Is that the Angela? Word.
Shout out to Angela Davis.
Angela. If it's the Angela, we need more than 5.
I think she's right now for Black Power Media. The Angela Davis, who just gave us that $5, she is the most important Angela Davis for us.
Sure.
Period.
Indeed.
Take that. Speaking of Angela Davis,
well
shout out to Deruba, my man Deruba been with her, turning 76 years old today.
Wow!
Hey.
Happy birthday, D.
Happy birthday!
76 years old.
I
bet
that's wild because it's Sophia Elijah's birthday today too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday to her.
Shout out to Sophia Elijah as well. I've been all over the place with Deruba, and my hair is definitely gray in many spots. Got a couple lumps on my back, head, stuff like that. You know, rolling with D, that can happen. You know what I mean?
Rolling
So
with
shout
D,
out.
dangerous.
You know,
Shout out to D. Happy birthday. And please go, everybody. If you haven't, go check out our latest interview from Monday at Black Power Media.
yeah.
And to your point, I haven't been all over the world with Sophia Elijah, but I have been to Cuba with Sophia Elijah.
Okay.
And I'll just say for now, that was enough. You know what I'm saying? That was an incredible trip.
Okay.
Shout out, peace always to Sister Sophia.
We got to get her on the show, man. You know what I'm saying?
She was on recently with me a little bit ago to talk about Sundiata Acoli and the campaign around him. I'm always trying to reach out to have her on. If you all can get it done, please make it happen.
Bring on the remix. You know what we do around here. Everybody, if you don't, let me tell y'all something. From this point on, if you don't see him on Black Power Media, it's a problem. You need to go ahead and DM at whoever you need to. Tell them Black Power Media is in the building. Right now, we're about 240, 260 people away from 10,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? I was never into the whole who following you, who subscribing, all that type of stuff. But I want to build this platform up because I think that that's very important. I think that and shout out to all the supporters of BPM because of the fact that you are our sponsors. You know what I mean? We don't have corporate sponsors. We don't have to worry about holding our tongue. And as you've seen yesterday and on previous shows, we don't always necessarily agree with each other. However, we have the right to speak. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important because of the fact that, you know, you have so many different stations and platforms where you can only say so much before a motherfucker sit you down. You know what I mean? So here at the Remix and here on Black Power Media, we ain't gonna say anything goes. But you know what I mean? You're gonna get your point across. If you want that revolution, you're in a place to be. And speaking of, Kim asked the question earlier. She said something about choices or whatever. You know, besides some of the choices that we have. Check out that BLA video that we did a couple weeks back. You know what I'm saying? With Daruba, with Sekou Odinga and Blood McCreary, because they had some solutions. I ain't gonna say it, but you can go ahead and listen to them because they the OGs. Anyway, Remix Morning Show. What we doing here?
Let's get into the medicine bag, man.
Let's go.
That's what I'm trying to do. And oddly, I think Sister Iyeli is claiming Connecticut too. I don't understand what is going on this morning. Remix is going sideways. What is happening here?
But wisdom was a Prince George's Countyan. Like, so
I don't know what's going on.
I didn't know there was more than 3 people who made it out of Connecticut.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know
why
what
y'all hating,
happening.
man. Why y'all hating?
Anyway, let's get to the medicine bag and she'll listen.
Good morning. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Medicine Bag. I'm Dr. Iyeli Ichile. It's so good to be with you. I'm still in moving and renovation mode, so I'm really stuck in this small space. Everything outside of this is pandemonium. But Jared, I am not from Connecticut. I was just pointing out that Brother Hiram and Brother Kalanji like both talk the same. I was like, oh, so everybody from Connecticut, they just all talk like that. So that was my that was my comment in the private chat. I hope one day we can talk about what it's like to be a woman trying to renovate and repair a home and having to deal with the craziness involved in working with contractors, walking through Home Depot. That's a whole other thing. But in any case, today I really wanted to bring to you just a really small news report from Nigeria. My father is from what the British decided would be Nigeria. He is from a very small ethnic group called Becheve. And the main ethnic groups there, the main former nations there are Yoruba and Igbo. So we have a story today of some neo-colonial antics from Igbo land. My mom sent me this article from the BBC, and I'm going to share my screen and just share that with you guys really quickly. And this article is about a Nigerian priest saving Igbo deities from the bonfires. So it's already strange. And I promise you this has something to do with what we're going to do today with yoga and everything. I'm going to tie it all together somehow. His name is Reverend Paul Obayi, but as you can see at the bottom of the photo here, he is holding what looks like a water deity goddess of some sort, but this little word right here in the bottom right corner of the image, okunerere, and correct me, someone who is Igbo, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Okunerere is actually a word that means the fire that burns, or the fire that specifically burns idols from the spirit. So this is his nickname, okunerere. So instead of people call him Reverend Paul, he's sometimes called that because what he does is he actually saves these African traditional sacred objects. As you can see, he's got hundreds of them in this Catholic church compound. He collects them and he saves them from being burned because there are other Christian pastors and clergy in Nigeria who are actually collecting all of these traditional sacred objects and burning them. Namely this guy, Bishop Chinasa Nwosu. As you can see, he's about to light this match and burn whatever sacred objects are in this bowl. So Reverend Paul has taken a decidedly different approach, whatever the royal church is. Reverend Paul is saving the objects, but he claims that somehow he has taken the evil spirits out of the objects. So it's okay for him to collect the objects, which I think is really interesting. I'm going to stop sharing that because who needs to look at that? Yeah, they're burning shrines. They are chopping down sacred trees. Absolutely. The colonial, imperialist, what did John Henrik Clarke call them? Murder cults have seeped so deep into the minds that the burning down of our own traditional beliefs continues even today and is intensifying in some ways in places like Nigeria. So what I think is interesting about this story, and this is Eastern Nigeria, by the way, this is Nsukka specifically, is that there is something in Reverend Paul that caused him to be interested in collecting these objects. And to me, I almost feel like that is some sort of, I don't know. I feel like that's a call. Like, I feel like sometimes we can reject our inclinations outright, right? People who are just burning objects, for instance. And then some of us are kind of drawn to those things for reasons we may not understand. And we try to compartmentalize. We feel that fire in our belly, that inspiration, that connection. But we misuse the fire, right? And I feel like that's what Reverend Paul is doing. So he says the reason he's collecting them is because he saw when he traveled to other Western nations that they were collecting objects. They were collecting Benin bronzes, for instance, which we've already talked about. They were collecting things from Western Nigeria. So I don't even know if this is like tribalism, is this regionalism because he's from Eastern Nigeria. Now he's got to go collect things from, his region because that matters. If he feels the Western world is collecting too much Yoruba stuff, does he need to collect the Igbo stuff so it can have the same importance to the white folks? I'm not really sure what his motivation is, but whatever it is, it just seems really problematic. But he claims that he has used whatever Holy Spirit to remove the evil, like I said, remove the evil spirits out of the objects so they're dead, right? What Fukiao Bunseki, Tata Fukiao would say, these are dead or objects that are no longer alive. They're no longer animated with the spirit. I'm not sure I believe that. I actually don't tend to believe that you can just kind of use white Jesus to pray away the value and the energy in these objects, but whatever. My goal today is to really talk about that fire in our bellies, right? We talked about Juneteenth. We talked about briefly the solar, the summer solstice, and we're in that time right now where our relationship to the sun is kind of more prominent. Our connection to all forms of solar energy, all forms of fire is out front. I think it's important to really feel that fire in your belly. We're moving into July, which is the month before Black August. Black Power Media is probably about to be like popping, litty in August. And I think that's really important to note, because historically and ancestrally, July then, before Black August, July was a month of intense fire. It was an intensification of that fire in our bellies. This is when we were plotting and planning. This is when we were really finalizing plans to make moves toward our liberation. So I think in terms of being in alignment with our blood, in alignment with history, in alignment with our struggle, now is the time to connect with your fire, right? And what I mean by that is connect with your inner Kalanji, okay? Connect with your inner Kim Brown. Connect with your inner Corinne Gaines. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was interesting for me as a host, kind of on a part-time basis, is to watch my colleagues at the anchor desk of the RemiX Morning Show, because we have some of our hosts who'll be like, that's problematic. And then you got Kim that'll be like, that's effed up. And then you got Kalanji who'll be like, and we bet not see you in the street, you know? And I think all of like that energy of fire that they bring to the mix, you know, creates an interesting balance. And it's so important though. Like, it's so important to tap into that. And if it makes you uncomfortable, right now is the time to figure out why that is and figure out how you can embrace that. Because I think respectability is a spectrum. Respectability politics is a spectrum. You know what I mean? We can talk about, you know, the far end where people don't want you to wear a short skirt. And we can talk about the more subtle ways in which we are uncomfortable with people who speak impolitely to our oppressors, people who don't take time to try to be gentle or diplomatic or refined in their statements about the terror that we are suffering. So what I'm saying is, yeah, find your fire, embrace your fire at this moment in time. July is the month to do it. Connect with the sun, embrace that energy, pull that fire deep into your belly and hold on to it. Find other people who are connected with their fire. And instead of saying, oh, that's a bit much. Most of you all are here because you're at least somewhat comfortable with that fire. I'm saying right now is the time to like commit to it. And move ahead in planning and making sure that once we get to Black August, you're not just sitting here watching us do it, that you are actually making plans of your own in your neck of the woods with whoever you organize with to do that. So really briefly, we're going to do a short, it's not even a full sequence, sun salutation. So our ancient Nile Valley ancestors, as we come back to doing just a smidge of Comedic yoga, they had, of course, a deep relationship with the sun. They weren't sun worshipers, but they definitely understood the centrality of sun for maintaining life on earth, and fire being an extension of that same energy. So what we're going to do is just greet the sun, just the first part of a very long sun salutation sequence. And we're going to find a way to kind of physicalize what we're trying to do on deeper levels, on ideological and intellectual levels, on revolutionary levels. We're going to physicalize that, right? So yeah, and it is about channeling our energy correctly. I'm kind of reading the chat as you all bring up very important points. So I'm going to move my chair out the way. And if you are unable to stand, right, I want to acknowledge all of us with differently able bodies. If you are unable to stand, you can still do this from sitting in a chair, or if you're at work and you can't stand up, you can still do this portion of the sequence from seated. All right. Let me scoop my chair. All right. I'm going to start calling myself Medicine Bag Yo, because we're not chasing the money bags, Megan. We out here chasing medicine bags. But in any case, that's a digression. Let me go to back here to my little yoga mat. Okay, and I'm really still struggling with how to teach yoga on video. One day we're gonna get outside and y'all gonna find me wherever I am. We're gonna be together in the open air. But for now, I'm gonna step this way because I know I'm in front of this like black cabinet. All right, so if you can stand, if you're seated, it's okay. We're gonna start with Comedic yoga, our kind of standing beginning position. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. My feet are together. my big toes are touching, but my heels are not. They're kind of apart, so I'm creating like a little space at the back of my feet. My legs are slightly bent and my arms are at my side. I have a straight back. I'm just kind of showing you from different angles. My posture is straight but relaxed. My shoulders are down. And I want you to take a deep breath in and pull the air down into your belly. Fill your tummy and hold it. Exhale and push it out. Pull your navel in. Deep breath in. Take your arms out to the sides, and on the exhale, bring them to the front of your body, letting all the air out. My hands are like side by side. Take a deep breath in. Bring your hands out, stretching your arms fully out in front of you, fully up, as straight as you can. Put your palms together in like prayer hands and stretch. Fully stretch, pull up your rib cage, fully extend your neck, make sure your back is straight. Give all the stretch, all the extension you possibly can, all the way up to your fingertips, pointing straight up at the sky. And fill up with energy. Just imagine while you're like this, that there is solar energy just coming right down into the tips of your fingers and washing into your body. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and slowly bring your hands down to in front of your chest. Pull that solar energy all the way down in your hands. Pull it down as they coast down the front of your body. Pull the energy down into your gut. This is your fire energy. Pull it down to right here, right? When we say Hotep or we say Namaste, these are references to peace, right? These are references to Ma'at. These are references to harmony and balance, but sometimes you got to use that fire to get there. You got to clear out some things. A bunch of things have to happen before we can achieve the peace and balance we all desire, right? Because stuff ain't right. So we want to now slowly bring our hands all the way up. And as I go up, I'm going to show you up close. As I slowly move back up, I am going to put my hands in these mudras, what people would call mudras. This is connecting the left and right hemispheres of my brain. Remember, we're digging into our thoughtfulness, right? So we don't misuse that fire, right? So I'm pushing my hands up in the mudras, giving that full stretch once again. Don't lock your knees. And as you stretch, I want you to open up the front of your neck. Lift your chin and allow your head to drop all the way back slowly. These muscles in the front of your neck rarely get any workout, but this is your communication. This is how you speak clearly and authentically when you're doing things. Open that up and let the sun energy go in there. Pull some fire into your words, your voice. Stretch. Head back. Drop it as far back as you comfortably can go, which means those back neck muscles, they're going to come together. And open your hands slowly. You still have your fingertips together. Open and pull your pelvis forward and greet the sun. Slowly come up, back to standing like a full straight stand, and bring your hands back together over your head into prayer. Prayer hands, bring your palms together. Gather up all that solar energy and pull it back down once again to your gut. Breathe. Extend your hands out in front of you. Your palms are still together. Make a straight angle. So you're trying to make sacred geometry here, like the ancients. So your right angle, I'm just showing you from as many different angles as I can. Lean forward, put your head between your arms, and slowly dive down, pointing at the earth. As above, so below. We just keep balance by greeting the earth now. Point your fingertips to the earth. Put your head between your arms. Straighten your legs and feel the stretch at the back of your legs, in your shoulders. Fully stretch everything and breathe. Tuck the fire in your belly. Tuck it in. Make sure it goes deep into your core. And slowly bend your knees, unlock them, and roll back up to standing. Slowly stacking your vertebrae, allowing your head to be the last thing up. And that's all we're gonna do for our sun salutation. Thank you so much, everybody. Find your fire.
It clearly gets no better than the Remix Morning Show, where you obviously get nothing like what we bring you.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, not only that, I mean, you even get a Kalonji impersonation. And the person I see you in the street.
I mean, that was the only problem with the segment, of course, is this praise for Kalonji. We couldn't just leave it at Kim.
It was appropriate. The praise was appropriate for Kalonji. And Dr. ELA, listen, I know you are in tune with stuff because you kept talking about fire and you referenced me and Kalonji. Kalonji and I are the only two fire signs in this whole Kalonji of people.
Say it again, Kim.
Wow.
Say it again, Kim.
That's right, yo.
In other words, let me translate for y'all. You're slipping, dude. You're soft. That's what Kim said.
I'm an Aries.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
Oh yeah. Through the hard way.
More fire.
Look at y'all. Because of her cool exterior, y'all doubted that she was fire sign.
Oh no, we weren't talking about her. We talking about y'all. Fire bun. We good.
No, I have to. Yoga helps me manage mine.
Look, and you heard what ELE was saying, that it needs to be managed. It can't just be out here just running amok. And that's why Kamau and I are here. So that y'all not just out here running amok.
You're welcome. Managed, man. Look at this, man. You know
You're welcome.
Somebody in the chat said that if they put out Kalonji, their Kalonji side, they'd be out of a job. I was like,
that's okay. We promote independence here. We promote independence.
Wrong. That's Kalonji's biography.
Hey, it's all right, man. Channel y'all in a Kalonji. It feels good. Trust me. I got it every day.
So, Doctor, what's the problem you having at doing the home repairs and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's I think just it's a weird scenario where I think there's an assumption that women don't know much about technical stuff or home repair stuff. There's the sexual harassment. There is brothers
overcharging.
What'd you say?
Overcharging.
Yep. All of the ways that you can imagine someone would be taken advantage of. Just being harassed or followed in the stores, in like Lowe's or Home Depot. Just men offering to help, but with some really weird strings attached to helping me get some of this work done. So it's slow going because it's just been a minefield of craziness. Just trying to know who to trust to get work done.
One brother we know we can trust is the ear doctor to bring the help that we need in an appropriate fashion, and then of course in a timely one. So welcome back, brother, to the platform, to the stage.
He just don't know. He don't know they invented a mute button though. So he
knows to shut himself up and when necessary.
Yo, what's good, everybody? I was gonna do an artist spotlight, but I wanted to if anybody showed up to Sundays last Sunday, I got to do a Jackson family tribute, and it was pretty nice. This was hot,
Sunday, Let me jump in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was dope. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Prince good
man, but the Michael stuff was off the chain. We need to make that into a Patreon that's only, DJ remix. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, word. Okay.
When you do the Michael Jackson versus Prince, that should be members Patreon only. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. A lot of people say Michael Jackson shouldn't go against Prince. They should have different people they should go against because they're not really on the same vibe.
Yeah, Prince is a little higher than him. That's why they shouldn't go against him.
Hey, but they were fierce competitors at their peak, right? They was always looking over each other's shoulders at the other one, know what the other one was doing.
And go look carefully at that footage. I believe it's on Soul Train when the both of them meet James Brown together.
Okay,
and watch some of the body language. To Kim's point, them cats was beefing and battling for a long time.
Yeah,
I say Prince versus Stevie Wonder and Michael versus James Brown.
Stevie versus nobody. If you're gonna do Stevie, you got to do Stevie versus himself. Early Stevie versus later Stevie. Stevie has no peer.
Yeah, or Stevie versus James Brown.
In all due respect. DJ Spinner and the wonderful parties. We should leave Stevie, leave him off these joints. Let Spinner and them do that, and let's.
But you know what I wanted to do this Sunday is I wanted to examine, as we know, music is medicine. You know, we always talk about violence in music and stuff like that, but we got to understand, for me, I look at violent hip hop as warrior music. It's like sometimes you have different music for different aspects. I wouldn't listen to Tribe Called Quest if I'm ready to go get in a fight or something like that. I want to hear some Mobb Deep. I want to hear some MOP. So with that said, music has its place. But I'm gonna give an artist spotlight to this musician. So let's get to it.
Remix Morning Show.
Yeah. Welcome out, y'all. Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show. And what I wanted to do right now at this time is give a artist spotlight. I had a submission, and like I said, y'all can always send your submissions to me at the Ear Doctor Music 1 at here we go. Y'all can send y'all submissions right here to eardoctormusic1@gmail.com. I have a submission today, which came from an artist known as Senator HRW, and the name of their group is called the Weirdo Party. Yes, that's the name of their group. So we're going to get into their song, which is called Fly Fall. Now, these are artists out of Montclair, New Jersey. The group came to promote an ideal that those with a broken spirit have the ability to heal, and self-determination is critical to that healing. So let's get into their song real quick, which is called Fly Fall. All right.
Fly, 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 reach into the dark night sky. Let them see you light, let them see you shine. Even when you fall, sometimes it's the weather, next time you do better. Get up and stand tall, and you can try again. I am the king, I make the kingdom follow my rule. I'm inspiration, I am not made for playing the fool. That's what I tell me, that's how I make it. They will not break me, I will not lose. Make you believe it, make it the truth. Woo! Cause I can see it all. Spread my wings and soar. And even when I fall, that's life. I just get back up and I fly, reach into the dark night sky. Let them see you light, let them see you shine. When you fall, sometimes it's the weather, next time you do better. Get up and stand tall, and you can try.
All right. So there you go. That is the Weirdo Party, Senator HRW. Once again, like I said, you can follow at Senator HRW. So that's our artist spotlight for the day, y'all. Remember to keep sending in your submissions, and if it's dope, we'll play it. That's what it is. So let's get back to the morning crew. at the Remix Morning Show. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go.
Appreciate
what's the name of them? Weirdo
That's, the Weirdo Party. That's the name of the
Party.
The Weirdo Party.
All right.
I thought it was Run the Jewels +1.
Walk the jewels.
All
right, no doubt. I got y'all next time.
I appreciate you.
This nigga said walk the jewels. Anyway,
hey,
Remix Morning Show.
Kim, you found somebody in the chat that had a good suggestion on that verses, on what should be the verses. Did you see that? You're muted. You're muted.
Not muted. Okay, I'm not muted. Now I am muted. Okay, now I'm not muted. Okay, no, somebody said Stevie versus Marvin Gaye. And I said that's really the only kind of verses that make sense when it pertains to Stevie. The only problem is Marvin is not here to defend his catalog. But yes, I think that would be the most appropriate versus scenario involving Stevie Wonder would have to be someone against someone like Marvin Gaye.
Nah, it'd be Teddy versus Marvin.
Teddy who?
Pendergrass?
Right.
Teddy P.
Teddy P was good, but he was
Teddy P was vicious.
Hold on, but Teddy P was not a musician. He wasn't in there arranging all that shit. That was the brothers from the Sound of Philadelphia. Help me out.
Gamble and Huff.
Gamble and Huff. That was all Gamble and Huff.
How you gonna say that Teddy P was a musician when he come in there and say, "Turn him off"? You know what I'm saying?
Now, I couldn't see Marvin Gaye, though. I feel some kind of way about Marvin Gaye now that I've learned about his whole abusive craziness. I can't look at him the same way. I can do a Donnie. Thank you, Tanya.
What you know about Marvin?
I can do a Donnie versus Stevie.
How
about Al Green?
But I don't think Marvin Gaye's catalog stands up to Stevie's. I mean, Stevie's just is longer and just like more.
Shots fired.
Wait a minute now.
Stevie. I feel like nobody should battle Stevie. He's like on a whole other plane.
I think that's a legit point, but Marvin got a catalog now. But I am interested in this. I might not be up on the claims against Marvin. I'm not.
Well, okay, so I think it's Tanya's mom. Anyway, the light-skinned woman that he was married to, the last person that he was married to was like a teenager. She was like 16, 17, and he was all the way in his 30s. And everybody was like, oh, Marvin got him a young one. Good for Marvin.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's like really deep. Like there were so many kind of music journalistic pieces that came out maybe the last 2 years about all of that. The abusiveness, the drugs and the abusiveness in multiple relationships. It was deep. It was a lot. It was a whole
then. You really raise a good point, and I really wish like maybe we can do this on a future show, especially when we're talking about music, especially when we're talking about Black music and this being the last day of Black Music Month. But I mean, how do we sort of reconcile the artist versus the behavior, right? Because so many of our brilliant artists, mostly male, were geniuses musically, but assholes in real life and just outward, just deplorable to the women in their lives. And like I struggle with that, you know what I mean? Especially with somebody like a James Brown, whose music I really, really adore. But knowing about James Brown is like, ugh.
Yeah, R. Kelly has been easy for me to cancel, but James would be a different. That's
right.
It's a struggle. I don't know the answer to that one. It is tough. Like I don't know that they have to be perfect in real life. But I think for me, it's just like with people like Marvin Gaye, just reading piece after piece after piece because I do love Marvin Gaye music. I can't listen to his music the same way.
Damn,
it affected how I received it. That's the thing. I want Stevie to battle somebody just because I want him to like be broadcasting live from Ghana since he's moving there. Yeah.
Just because Stevie blind. What y'all know about Stevie?
First of all, Stevie is not blind. Y'all got to get over this. We got to get this clear. Stevie can see, been able to see. That's the conspiracy, I believe. So that's I'm fully when he caught that mic stand, it's a wrap. I can't.
But what we're not going to do, we're not going to question disabled people and the extent of their disabilities. If someone tells you that they're disabled, chances are they actually are. Now, especially when we're talking about blind and visual impairment, there is a spectrum. Just because someone is blind does not mean they just see black. Okay, you can be low vision and visually impaired. And not be well enough to drive, for example.
All right, but in my self-defense, like, I don't want all jokes to be in the lane of disrespected disability. The Stevie Blind joke, come on now. Come on now.
There are some good Stevie Blind jokes.
Jared, I'd be ready to fight people over Stevie Blind jokes, for real.
Hey, Kim in ELA, can we say that these artists, back to what you were saying, can we say these artists are looked at as vessels and tools to bring forth like singing or rapping and good music, but their personal life is a whole nother thing?
I mean, in some ways, it's like, well, then do we bring R. Kelly back? Like, that's my question. I don't know. No. I don't know the answer to that one. Like, I do feel like people come here with gifts, and I don't think, you know what I mean? Everybody has gifts. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, and it definitely doesn't have anything to do with their personal character. That they have those gifts and talents.
Like Michael.
Michael, like Ara, like everybody else. So, I mean, but it's like, do we as consumers, make those separations? I don't know how easy that is for me. I think with some artists, I think I can do it. Like, I don't think Stevie Wonder is a perfect person, you know? But
what's wrong with Stevie? What's wrong with you?
I don't have any. Nobody. I just assume he's not.
Don't talk about Stevie.
Stevie done ran through some wives now. Stevie's on like wife number 4, if I'm not mistaken.
He has done.
But you know what? So,
but that's not. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, we have to remember too that, you know, I mean, we as a people, what they say, we sick, boss, we fucked up. You know what I mean? So it's so many different issues that come with human beings. So the thing is, we will find something wrong with everybody if, you know, depending on who we talk to. That's just how I see it. Now, some shit is more prevalent and some shit is more damage. You know what I mean? But in this day and age, we'll find a reason to cancel any and everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that at some point in someone's life, somebody did something or said something that someone didn't like, someone was disrespected, disregarded, whatever. So I guess it should be levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying?
On the flip side of that, Kalanji, think about all the abusers who were allowed to abuse unabated for a long time, right? Because people did not want to pull them up or cancel them. Like we're kind of like at an age where we can cancel abusers. Like that didn't always happen, right? Like that was not always the method of how we dealt with people in our community with fame and with power and privilege who were also abusers. Like they were just kind of allowed to just abuse like as much as they wanted to, right?
Yeah, I'm with that. My thing is just making sure that, you know what I'm saying, when we are, you know, we investigate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is we don't want to be we don't want to like we don't want to replace the state with the same oppressive system in blackface. We don't want to be neo-colonialists. We want to make sure that if there are accusations that we deal with them shits swiftly and that there's evidence and proof and so on and so forth, because of the fact that you have all types of people. And that's all I'm saying. I'm let's bring the justice. You know what I mean? I have a problem with R. Kelly because of the fact that there's so many witnesses. There's so much, you know what I'm saying? There's so much evidence or whatever. There's so much proof. My thing is I'm on my mouth shit. No investigation, no right to speak. So I definitely I just can't take every source as Bible.
So just so we're clear, just so the remix community is clear, Kalanji's standard of proof has been met for R. Kelly, but not for vaccines. I just want to. Just for those
the thing is, my simple answer to that is I don't trust the government. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. You know, however you take it, and what are the ingredients? I wanted to ask you, what are the ingredients in the vaccine?
Thank you.
Sade, what is in the polio vaccine?
No, I never got into that. I never got into that. No, I'm asking.
There's no way you didn't get those vaccines. There's
no. It looks like we have to revisit the vaccine.
Why isn't this question being answered?
Because I don't have that answer. The doctors when they come will have that answer.
Okay, so
you don't either. So, but that's not the point. That's not.
No, I do. But my point is this.
You do.
It's like my point is My point is, I mean, I went to research, but my point is, I don't know exactly what's in them, so I'm not taking it in there.
I was just leaving that as an outro joke. I didn't mean to relitigate the argument this morning. It was supposed to be an outro closing joke.
That's cool in the game. I'm just, I'm just wondering what the ingredients are so I can make a educated decision.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, R. Kelly vaccine.
Yeah, I don't put Crisco oil in my car because it's oil. I want to know.
That's right.
Oh wow,
nice.
That's hilarious,
man. Cut it out. Like people.
I mean, am I wrong for saying that if I drink that Uncle Body, I don't know what's in that
though?
But here, this is what I don't get. Like y'all understand that tuberculosis and polio used to wreck this country, and the reason that they no longer wreck this country is because of vaccines. Smallpox used to destroy people. There was a vaccine for smallpox. Like
Kalonji had the right herbal concoction to stop all of that.
They gave the smallpox blankets to the natives, and they gave syphilis to the and Tuskegee. Anyway,
that's actually incorrect. But that part, wait. But that's actually incorrect. Just to be clear, what you just said about the syphilis thing is factually
I know the syphilis. It was an experiment, and I know that it wasn't given to them. I know that they refused treatment.
Okay, but we just got to be clear. Like that's why I'm saying.
But I asked you about the ingredients in the vaccine. If you can tell me that, then perhaps I might say, you know what? Well, maybe
you can tell me the ingredients in Uncle Nearest. Then
I could.
You shouldn't be asking me for the ingredients to a vaccine. That's why we're going to bring the doctors in.
He said, Dr. Jared Ball. Doctor,
but anyway,
ingredients in the vaccine, Dr. Ball.
I mean, they suggested it. I mean, you know.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up and revisit the vaccine conversation. Maybe never. And
maybe never.
And also the music and morality conversation, which I think is a good one.
Yes.
So we talked about Corinne Gaines and putting some light on the fact that Baltimore City and County are both shady and don't like to pay out what they deserve, what they need to. She has not still received justice. Megan's investment scheme is we give that a thumbs down. Baratheron's Biden black bank buy-in or sellout, depending on how you look at that, is up for questioning. And we talked about youth and political education with Brother Hiram, who is an honorary host of the show now because he's awesome. And we did yoga and tried to find a little bit of our fire for July heading into Black August. Is that a good recap? Did we get it all?
Hey, man. Hey, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Excellent.
And I should have asked you the ingredients to the vaccine because you would know. But anyway,
can't stop though. But
thank you all for checking out the RemiX Morning Show.
You know he couldn't stop himself.
Yeah, bringing up with two yellow fellas tomorrow.
Look at him. Look at him. He's still going. He's still
Can't
going.
help himself.
Yeah. Remix. We out.
Remix, everybody. Peace.
Can't help it. Hey, peace, y'all. We out here.